to explain about summary this case. The respondent purchased home of the plan to be constructed by the applicants. Each of the respondents had signed a sale and purchase agreement to purchase a house at $29,500. Subsequently, the respondent was made to pay an additional $4,000. The court was asked to determine if the additional payment was made voluntarily or undertaken by the applicant to cancel the respondent booking for their house. The lower court had found that payment was not voluntarily but had been made undertaken. And on appeal, the appeal was dismissed by the High Court, which ruled that there was correction and defined in Section 50. It further add that the definition in Section 50 should only apply for the purpose contained in Section 14 and not for the entire act.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Siti Nurizah Farhana binti Asniza. So in this case, there are two parties involved, namely Team Namely Development CDN BHD as the defendant, we is the housing development company, and the second party is TAI CHOO and 4ORS as the plaintiff who purchased house of to constructed by SDN.
Hi, my name is Anissa Sofia binti Abdullah and my matric number is 2020477074, and I will talk about the right and duties of related parties, which is my topic here is Chin Nambi Development Sendahan Berhad versus Tai Kim Chu and 4ORS 1988 to ML7117, the right and duty of related parties. All agreements are contract if they are made by the free consent of parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with a lawful object, and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. That is, Section 15 forms part of a chapter which specially deals with the requisites of a valid contract. As for the right, in CM Nasted v. The State of Perak 1925 FMSLR 185, the plaintiff applied for a grant of 23,000 acres of land in the Mukim of Utan Melintang. Upon the approval of his application, he paid a certain sum for survey fees, calculated upon the area approved as being one block. In the subsequent survey, the land was cut up into 16 blocks, but plaintiff was not informed that this was being done. Upon demand made by the district officer, the plaintiff's agents Messrs. Harrison and Crossfield pay a further sum for service fees, the calculation of the amount being based upon the 16 blocks, and the plaintiff sued to recover the sum that paid by them. And then Woodward C7 said that in this case, the evidence shows that Messrs. Harrison and Crossfield paid the money not voluntarily, but to prevent the threatened consequences of non-payment, and under these circumstances, it is impossible to consider the payment as a voluntary one. Thank you.
The issue and problem that has been raised. Each plaintiff has signed a sale and purchase agreement to purchase a home for $29,500. There is no dispute about this. The dispute arose over the payment by each plaintiff of an additional $4,000 to the defendant. Plaintiff alleged that they were threatened and forced by Yap Son Kin, DW2, a director of the defendant company, to pay $4,000 each to the defendant as an increase in the purchase price, or that the defendant will cancel their booking for the house. DW2 said that $4,000 is for the additional cost of work to be done to each house, not at the request of the plaintiff, but agreed by them on his verbal recommendation. The magistrate, after hearing witness, to conclude that $4,000 was the increase in the cost of each house paid by each plaintiff under the threat that the defendant would cancel his booking for the house. The magistrate found that the plaintiff disagree with the $4,000 increase because under clause 13 of the sale and purchase agreement, a request for additional work must be made in writing. Defendant has claimed that the plaintiff has agreed to the additional work orally. However, the plaintiff did not know what additional work had been done to their home. DW2 admitted that the additional work cost $3,570, but he asked the plaintiff to pay $4,000 each so that the defendant could make a profit. Element of contract in this case is coercion. Coercion is committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the penal code or unlawful, detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person whatever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. Coercion refers to an unlawful act done with the intention of causing the person to enter into an agreement. In this case, the plaintiff alleged that they were threatened and forced by Yap Sun Keng, DW2, a director of the defendant company, to pay the $4,000 each to the defendant as an increase in the purchase price, or else the defendant would cancel their booking for the house. DW2 said that the $4,000 was for cost of additional work to be done to each house, not on the request of the plaintiff, but agreed to by them at this oral suggestion. The defendant had alleged that the plaintiff had agreed to the additional work orally. The magistrate found that the plaintiff had not agreed to the increase of $4,000 because under the sale and purchase agreement clause 13, a request for additional work must be made in writing. The plaintiff, however, did not ever know where the additional work which had been done to the house.
Okay, the solution of the case is the lower court has found that the payment made was not made voluntarily, but the payment that was made was under threat, or in other words, is in the presence of elements such as coercions. Therefore, there is an element of coercion in the agreement to pay extra to the defendants. The plaintiff has appealed to the courts, but the appeal was not dismissed and even rejected by the highest courts, which ruled that there was coercion as defined in Section 15. Further added that the definitions in Section 15 should only apply for the purpose contained in Section 14 and not for the whole of the law. As there was an element of coercion, the courts that ruled that the plaintiff promised to pay extra money for the house. Reservations, one cancelled immediately because the promise was made under threat and not voluntarily. Thank you.